Hello everyone, Shadefyre here, and welcome to another Monster Hunter Rise Boss Bytes. Today we're going to be going after another Elder Dragon, the Teostra, who is a fire dragon that is also capable of, unlike Basilgoose, actually causing Blast Blight. So, Teostra is a monster that I am familiar with from Monster Hunter World. I think I fought it a decent number of times, and I don't remember him being too tough, at least not compared to Leonine, who was already in the game by the time I got there. So we're going to be taking the Gun Lance in again. We're going to be using the Kushala Gun Lance, since he's weak against ice as a fire Elder Dragon. He's also weak against Dragon, of course, but I think he's slightly weaker to ice. And the Basilgoose armor not only is resistant to fire, but it also has a bunch of useful skills for the Gun Lance, so it should be a good combo. Now, I should mention that Sunbreak has come out by this point. I was hoping to be done with the original roster before it came out, but I'm not, so I'm going to try to power through that because I don't want to touch any of the new stuff until I get up to Valstrox. So we're going to grab Fire Resistance, we're going to grab Defender, and... Oh yeah, we'll grab the Artillery one for Gun Lance damage. So yeah, there's only two more monsters left after this. One is All-Mother Narwa, and one is Valstrox itself, and then I can begin Sunbreak, though from what I understand about Sunbreak's start, it is, much like the other kind of G-rank, Master rank expansions, going to require me to go through all of the same monsters first before we get any new ones. I could be wrong, they could have mixed some new ones into that progression, but I know that I'm definitely going to have to fight a bunch of the same monsters a third time. So let's grab the mission. I guess I didn't actually do that yet.
Special quest has come in for you.
The Emperor of Flame. A Teostra has been spotted in the lava caverns. Wreathed in flame, Teostra are of such fierce and deadly nature that the guild keeps track of their movements whenever possible. You must leap into action at once and extinguish this threat. And like with the other ones, I think I'm probably going to immediately unlock the next monster after this because I, fought Kushala and did a little bit of grinding.
In the halls of Inferno roam the restless souls.
I do kind of like Teostra's design.
Approaches with the fire he controls.
He looks very much like the stereotypical chimera.
To judge the wicked who sully his domain, to damn them with his rage to eternal pain. Swift as wind his punishment, absolute his reign.
So that's the thing we're going to need to watch out for, is the explosive dust. That's the thing that causes Blast Blight. Though I do have some Blast Blight resistance added on here since I had the extra slots, because when the armor already has all the skills you were going to equip, it's like, okay, what do I equip instead? I think I already filled out, yeah. Nope, I didn't fill out my Mega Potions. I always forget to do that before one of these videos. But yeah. I've slowed down a little bit on Monster Hunter Rise since there's not really that much game left, and also I've been not wanting to do, any of these new monsters without doing a video. But I am looking forward to checking out some of the monsters in Sunbreak, because the ones I've seen are pretty cool, especially that glowing green one, whose name I forget, but it's from Monster Hunter Generations. That's a pretty cool looking monster, and they brought back the... I was gonna say Neragigante, but no, not Neragigante, the unknown monster type, whose name is totally escaping me now that I'm trying to actually think of it.
Looks useful.
It's all black, and it's blind, and it has a pretty cool armor set. But yeah, they brought that back, so looking forward to that. And then there's, of course, the, universal monster-themed trio. One based off of werewolves, one based off of vampires, and one based off of Frankenstein, I think. Loosely, of course. But that whole expansion is kind of European fantasy themed rather than this Japanese theme the main game has. I think the expansions are always kind of a slightly different theme than the main game. Okay, I guess Teostra is the question mark because I haven't actually encountered one anywhere yet. I'm still trying to remember that monster's name. It also looks like we have Rajang and Magnamalo running around. I guess one of the new monsters added was also, or not new monsters, but one of the new fights is a variant of Magnamalo that's even tougher. Which is good, because Magnamalo is cool, but it's actually not that difficult of a monster for a flagship. And of course, there's people who have been saying that, oh, Sunbreak is the shortest G-rank expansion yet, because it's only like 100 hours instead of 400 or whatever, you know. For me, I'm happy that it's shorter. Just like I'm happy that Rise is shorter, because I would like to actually play a whole bunch of other games, you know? Alright, off to a good start. I do remember that attack. Okay, so he hits pretty hard. Which is a good thing then that I brought the shield. Somehow he is slightly out of range of my pokes. I think Quick Sheath would actually be somewhat useful for this, just because you're really slow with the gun lance, so you have to put it away to get closer when they do a big leap. Oh, he can do the Rathalos slow burn. I remember him being a monster that it was safer to stay really close to. Like, up into his legs. Because he doesn't have a lot of quick knockdown melee attacks. Though he does have that now. Which is a little different from how his Dusk worked before. Where he'd, like, shoot it in front of them. Alright, I'm gonna hit him with a, worm stake. Or not a worm stake, a wyvern stake. Okay. Have to remember that attack doesn't, like, cancel out the rest of their attack. You're done for! Alright, that did a lot of damage. That was like 500 damage almost. Probably closer to 400. One of the handy skills that this armor set has is a boost to blocking. So you can block stuff that's unblockable, and also you just take less damage from blocking. Something else they added in Sunbreak is the ability to switch your Silkbind skills, which is good because I never used the other one because it was more situational. So now you can technically use all of them in one fight. I just don't remember how to do it. Or don't know how to do it. I think it's something you can switch on here. Oh, that's new as well. You can tell them to sniff out materials. Okay, so that didn't go too badly. He went downhill. Not very far, honestly. Something else I am looking forward to with Sunbreak is the new maps, because this map has gotten a little too familiar. You know, the number of times I picked up that specific bug while going down this hill I could use a change of location. I don't know how many new maps there are, though. Oh yeah, that's really strong against him because of the element. I think I actually gave him Ice Blight there. He's got the little, like dust around them. So that'll recharge my blast again really quickly. As you can see, it's already recharged. I think they actually increased that with Sunbreak. I remember people saying that it's actually useful now, even though I always thought it was useful as a non-veteran.
No more holding back.
Okay, now he's mad. Which means he's gonna start throwing exploding shit everywhere. He also has a supernova attack, which is pretty much what it sounds like. He just explodes. And that's probably still in here. That's like his ult.
I will create a diversion.
I don't think my diversion worked. You notice, though, that if I'm close enough to him, the dust goes right past. Wow, I am noticing how fast my Wyvern Blast is recharging. That definitely seems boosted. Oh, you know what? I guess that that Dango I took is also boosting my Wyvern Blast. That's why it's probably doing so much damage on top of the boost from the armor set. Since it also has the artillery skill. Did I hit him with that? No. It seems like he actually has Lunostra's damage radius now, where she would get so hot that you'd actually take damage just from standing near her if you didn't have a cool drink active. He seems to have something similar, and he didn't have that in world. Alright, I'm feeling like this is not going to be a very long fight. But every time I say that, it ends up being at least a half an hour anyway. Even when I'm using, like, their weakness and a effective weapon. But it would be nice to have a short one, since that way I can actually get it out faster. I've been uploading so many things at the same time, or, you know, editing so many things at the same time, that it's been hard to stick to just getting one thing out and done. Those Arachnoids also remind me that they added a new variant of Raknakadaki that has exploding fire webs. Definitely more Blast Blight, I think, in the expansion than there was in the default game. Because I guess Teostra here is the only one that does Blast Blight in the basic game. You can block that too. That Lance really does have the best shield. I mean, Lance, I think, has better block after all, but this already is so strong. Like, do I even need that? I'm waiting to get wiped at least once by the supernova. Or is it only supernova if he does it with Lunostra? Because they had like a combo attack as well, since they were essentially the male and female equivalent of the monsters, like Rathlos and Rathian. So they had like this partner combo attack that would super explode. Ooh. My Mega Block did not block that at all. I wonder if it's because it hit behind me. Because the shield is still directional, so if they hit you from behind, you're still gonna get knocked on your ass.
Wonderful work, my friend.
I wonder if I can break his tail off. Kushal's tail was actually really hard to get because it's like so high up, and Kushala never attacks with its tail. So you're always just like chasing it as it spins around, tries to hit you with its, head. But I got lucky and I just got it as a crest reward, which I needed to make this gun lance.
Wonderful work, my friend.
Well, that was a waste of a potion because he was healing me anyway. He's a fun fight, though. Like, he's not really that hard, but he is kind of aggressive. And your positioning is important to not explode. He will only do his supernova when he's enraged. I just don't know what the sign for that is. Ooh, that's new. Those just came from above. I got away. That's not the supernova. That's just a lot of dust. Okay, now I'm blast blighted, so I have to roll before I explode. That basically just counts down and then blows up on you, but because I have the decoration that reduces blast blight, it gives you longer before it explodes. And you just have to roll to get that off, like most status effects. Most, but not all. Kind of a shame that I sort of dropped the dual blades, but as I mentioned before, I really felt like I wasn't getting any faster at taking down monsters with them compared to all of my other weapons. Like, they just felt really slow because they're, so weak per individual hit. So even though I was just constantly hitting them, it just didn't seem to finish them off as quickly. But I haven't used a higher level dual blade because I didn't want to have to spend all the money to upgrade it. Upgrades start to get expensive in this game once you get to this, end game point. Maybe he doesn't have its supernova. Right into the lava. He definitely uses a lot more blast blight. Oh yeah, that's the supernova. Not too bad. That wasn't a huge radius. I was gonna Superman jump, I didn't even need to. Yeah, you can see I just used Wyvern Blast, and my meter is already halfway empty, so I think one of my skills is boosting it now. I don't know why that doesn't afflict you with Blast Blight, though. But yeah, in Monster Hunter World, I remember that was just like one attack he had where he'd throw out the dust. But he didn't use it as often as this. They seem to have kind of integrated that more into his moveset. Probably because they just had a status effect that, no monsters actually used. The Siren, whose name I forget, is it Nersilia? Actually does have one Blast Blight attack. Like, one of its shell clapping attacks, it will potentially blow you up, but there's not really a monster that's focused on it, and I don't know why Basil's isn't, considering its whole thing is it throws exploding scales. Alright, I need to sharpen a little bit.
Now's my chance!
Another thing they've added in Sunbreak, though, I don't think I'll have access to that until I actually get into Sunbreak, is that you can take NPC hunters with you now. I don't know if that's only for specific hunts, or if it's possible to bring them for all of them, but it is a mechanic now. You actually have AI helpers that aren't just your buddies. I do feel like the gun lance is maybe a little safe. You know, it's a little slow in terms of what I'm actually doing in the fight compared to something more active and counter-heavy like the gun lance. But it's fun. Like, I've never really been bored. There's one skill that I want to use. It's one of the Silkbind skills where when you do a charge shot, it actually just sticks it behind you and you propel forwards, and then you can do like a slam attack. But that's the one that feels very situational, because that replaces your, you know, your go up into the air and then slam down attack, which recharges your Wyvern Blast. So having the ability to switch between those seems like a good thing. I just don't know how to do that. I might not be able to do that until I start Sunbreak either, because I think it just gives you a scroll item, and the scroll will switch between two different movesets that you can equip. Crap. That was either jump into him or jump into the explosion. Though the explosion I could have blocked, so I probably should have jumped back into that. He doesn't seem like he's getting weak yet.
Are you ready?
Though I seem to have also gotten pretty unlucky on having other monsters show up. Because it's pretty rare to go a whole fight without getting a monster interrupting at least once. Even for Elder Dragons, they don't seem to care if it's an Elder Dragon. They'll still just slap them around. Okay, I can actually dodge that big explosion by jumping towards him. It's kind of fun bitch slapping him in the face, though, and, like, stunning him like that. Okay, now he's just jumping back and forth, so I'm gonna back up. Almost out of Mega Potions. Can always go get more if I really need them, but I shouldn't really need them. Don't think he has too much health left. I also added a mod. I have a couple mods running, mostly just to add color back into the maps and remove the green tint the game has by default. But I also have a mod now that changes the finishing blow. Because, you know, by default it does a, like, zoom in on the monster and then show them falling over multiple times camera angle. Instead, now it will do a slow-mo on the final hit and just, you know, let you see the monster go down. There is a decent amount of mods for this. Including, for some reason, like, a bunch of nude mods, which I understand for something like Skyrim or whatever. People are like, oh, it's my fantasy life. I want to have a bunch of nude followers or whatever. But here, it just seems weird. I guess it's always a little weird. Probably not too surprising, considering it's a Japanese series, and Japanese modders are, let's say, proficient in nude mods. They're by no means the only people that make them. They're just good at it. But yeah, there's a decent amount of just very useful mods. If I wanted, I could add a mod that would actually show the monster's health bar. You know, so you could actually see how close it is to death. That stuff is in the game, that information, and can be displayed by modders. Of course, Capcom don't want you to do that.
An excellent opportunity. Keep attacking!
But I feel like I don't need that. It's really not that essential to know their health. You can tell when they're almost dead. I mean, it literally will put an icon on them on the map saying, hey, they're almost dead. And the cat will be like, hey, they're almost dead. You should try capturing them. So, I don't know. Some people are, like, annoyed the game doesn't have a health bar by default, and that's one of their gripes against it, that they never try it for. But, I don't know. I think that's silly. I think a much bigger gripe was just the general, stiffness of the combat, which was intentional. It was meant to be a game that would punish you for preemptive attacking and not carefully planning when you're going to attack, because, you can't cancel out of animations. And that is something that is quite a bit reduced in World, and then even more so in Rise, considering you literally have a cancel dash. Well, I don't know if you can cancel out of moves with that. I feel like I've not actually tried to cancel out of my wire bug. But yeah, I think a lot of the controls issues that people had with Monster Hunter series have gone away with Rise and World. Even though it also annoys veterans that it's easier to play. Because to some people, it reduces the kind of importance of having the different weapon rolls in co-op. Because now, co-op is just everybody does their own thing, even if you're all fighting the same monster. It's just a bunch of people hitting it, and not really having to worry about, like, oh, I can't use my hammer in this spot, or I'm going to knock out my teammates. That still happens, but people just don't care. I guess they've sort of reduced the need for teamwork by making each player more effective individually. Which I can see how that's a downside for a series that was very co-op focused. But, like, it also is a series that doesn't feel co-op essential. I mentioned it before, but I've only done co-op in this game, like, once. Very early on. Originally, it was because I figured everybody had already played it, so there was no point in doing co-op with the early monsters. And I didn't do a lot of co-op in World until late game. Like, once I did the Elder Dragons and stuff, I started doing a lot of co-op, because usually it was faster than trying to kill them yourself, even though the monster had more health. Because 4-player characters that are DPS spec'd more than make up for the monster having boosted health. Man, speaking of health, I'm out of Mega Potions, and he's starting to get aggressive. I do like that he sets them off by snapping his jaws now. It's very kind of reminiscent to me of Roy Mustang snapping his fingers to set off his explosions. I would say that's a reference that most people aren't even going to get anymore, but, like, Brotherhood did exist, so I think that re-familiarized people with the series who might not have been familiar with the original manga or the first series. I will say this, though. I've still not watched Brotherhood. I know everyone's like, oh, Brotherhood is so much better because it is closer to the manga and it doesn't go off and do its own thing. But as someone who hasn't read the manga either, that didn't bother me. I was perfectly happy with the original Full Metal Alchemist series. It's still one that I think is really good. And, I don't know, when your major criticism of series is simply that it doesn't follow the original, but you don't have any, like, problems with the series' merits otherwise, that seems like a pretty weak criticism. Because again, it happened that way, not by choice. It wasn't like the director was like, oh no, I'm just going to do my own thing. It was because the manga had not finished yet, and, they needed to finish the anime without having to wait for however long it would take to get the rest of the series. And I feel that that's become somewhat less common now, that a lot more series will be directly tied to the manga without kind of preemptively releasing. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that a lot of anime won't get greenlit way ahead of the end of the original manga run. I don't know how I ended up talking about manga in this Monster Hunter Boss Bytes. I guess I feel that Teostra is kind of running out of tricks. He's really not that different from the previous Teostra. I mean, he's a little different. It's not like they just use the same moveset. All this explosion stuff is pretty new compared to how he fought before. He used a lot more fire in World. He still uses fire here, but like I said, they seem to have differentiated him a bit more. He does look pretty cool when he's all lit up like this, though.
Face my fury!
I wonder if when I start doing Sunbreak monsters, more people will be interested in checking them out because they're new. Whereas, obviously, doing these videos for these monsters, these are all stuff that's been out for... Oh, shit. I thought that was the big one right there. These are monsters that have been out for... since the original Switch game was out, you know? I mean, maybe not all of them. I don't know when some of these were added, because, like, Teostra and all these other Elder Dragons were added post-release. But I don't think it was dramatic. What did I just do? What was I doing? I was trying to block. But I think I reloaded instead. But yeah, I'm curious if people will be more interested in those, because not a lot of people have picked up on these Monster Hunter Rise Boss Bytes, and that's fine, because, like I said, some of these videos I just do for myself, and wanting to talk about them as I'm doing them. Which I guess is what streaming is good for, but I don't really have the right setup for streams.
Some humans could learn from you.
And also, I would never want to have to actually stick to a stream schedule. As any regulars to the channel can probably tell, I'm not super organized about deadlines and schedules. Okay, I might actually need to get away, because I've run out of healing completely. He does a lot of damage. I don't even know why he bothered doing the big explosion there. Oh, this is another thing they've added. One that is immediately apparent. You can now just run up walls. You don't have to wire bug to the wall first, which was something I found annoying originally, so I'm glad they changed that. Because there were times when you just want to go up a small ledge or something, and having to use a wire bug for that felt kind of clunky. Alright, I'm gonna hit up camp. I think I actually do still have first aid, right? Yeah, I got 2 left, but might as well grab a bunch of potions. Something I've never been sure about is if going to your tent like this resets your dango buffs. I really have no idea after 100 hours or whatever how long the dango buffs last and if they run out. Because, as I've mentioned before, in Monster Hunter World, your meal buffs would run out after a time limit, and that was pretty standard to Monster Hunter, from what I understood. But here, I think the dango buffs last indefinitely unless you activate another one at your tent, which will just replace them. But yeah, like here, I just want to run up the wall. I don't want to have to use a bug when I've only got 2. I do really like that Kushala armor. I think I mentioned that last time. The Kushala armor for the dog is cool. Even if it really doesn't have anything to do with the monster. I mean, I guess Kushala was like a metallic dragon, and it is kind of a metallic-looking armor, but some of the armor sets just have their own theme that is not particularly related to the monster itself. Alright. No, you're not who I was looking for. Who I was looking for is over here, though. I'm gonna piss off Magnum Hollow, though. Oh, there we go.
Observe how it's done.
I will say maybe that Teostra's theme is okay, but it doesn't really stand out to me like some of the other Elder Dragons we've been fighting. There is some pretty good tracks in this game. And I really do like that all of these later game monsters have their own unique tracks. Get bullied upon, Teostra. I can't even tell what happened there because he, like, teleported into the ceiling. since he jumps straight up. Ooh, off the wall jump finished him off. So yeah, this is what the mod does. It just does like a slow-mo on your last hit if you're doing something fancy. And then you can freely walk around, which you could do anyway. When it did the multiple camera shifts, you could still run around, but you couldn't actually see where you were going. There's also mods that let you do stuff like skip the timer. Like if I wanted to just carve and then immediately end, there's a mod for that as well. So I think a lot of little convenience things are available if you want them. There's also some kind of cheaty mods, like higher drop rates and stuff like that, but I don't feel that I need those yet. And I wouldn't feel particularly bad about using them, because it's not like I'm playing online anyway. You know, I'm not gonna ruin someone else's progression by getting too many drops. I just haven't felt I've really needed to grind. Now, there are certain things I would need to grind if I wanted to upgrade some of my weapons. Like, again, that Zinogre orb or whatever. That's a 3% drop. That's something that I don't really want to grind for. But I also don't feel like having higher drop rates would change that too much. Well, we got a Teostra gem. That's good. You're going to need that if you want to make any Teostra weapons. We got 2 Teostra tails for some reason. Which is also good because we didn't break the tail. Elder Dragon Blood, Elder Dragon Bones. Yeah, it seems like we got some decent drops. And about a half an hour, so I was right. Immediately jump up to level 40. Or 50. No, 50 is the next one, so that just means we unlock the ability to go past 40. So, Shadefyre, you extinguished Teostra's flame. Excellent. Your efforts today put an end to the danger in the lava caverns without casualty. And yet the Elder Dragons keep appearing. I can't help but ponder whether this means a head-to-head confrontation with Ibushi and Narwa is close at hand. Ah, but Elder Dragon, Smelter Dragon, we have you here, so what's there to be afraid of? Well, Shadefyre, there's still more for you to achieve. Hop to it.
Excellent.
I've been waiting.
Wonderful. I almost got into, like, Professor Oak territory there from Pokemon Snap. One after another, you continue to best these fabled Elder Dragons. Your skills really are impressive. Whenever I tell Hinoa about your hunting exploits, her face lights up with a gleaming smile as bright as the sun itself. I never see Hinoa anymore because there are no more village quests. So keep at it. Aim to be the paragon of hunters so Hinoa can keep smiling as brightly as she does now.
Yes.
But that isn't to say Hinoa is the only one happy to see your accomplishments. Of course, I am as well. It's also nice that we're no longer possessed by dragons. That's nice too. Speaking of, with the completion of this quest, you unlock HR 40. Keep up the good work.
Until next time.
I've now reached HR 51. Hunter rank cap is now 999. Thankfully, we only need 100 in order to unlock Valstrox. Shadefyre, we finally figured out where Ibushi and Narwa are hiding out. Yes, the pair have already reunited at the Coral Palace. Children, flood this land, were the words Hinoa and Minoto recited while resonating. We can assume they foretell the birth of many more wind and thunder serpents, if we fail to stop them. Now, I'm curious, considering the rampage is something that's been happening like every 50 years for a long time, have those two really just had that much trouble fucking that they've caused this every time? And, should that happen, the whole land will fall to the rampage. Then, well, suffice to say, we'll all be up the creek without a paddle. That's why you gotta get a move on. If you can't put a stop to it in time, Kenmura and everyone else is doomed. Now is when we need that blazing spirit of yours to lead the hunt more than ever. I don't even intend to have these cutscene things in there, it's just the time has finally come, and so have I.
How can I help you?
Shadefyre, it's finally here. Oh my, how many quests have I sent you out on now? Quite a few, no doubt. I might have been slightly concerned at first, but quest by quest, you prove yourself to be something far greater than capable. You're somebody the whole village believes in. That's why I'm not worried. With you here, what reason could I possibly have to be? You'll return in high spirits as you always do. I know you will. Best of luck to you.
I have a special quest for you.
So yeah, this is the All-Mother, which is where you fight Ibushi and Narwa. But that's for next time. For now, let's just go check out the Teostra gear.
How's it going? So, what can I help you with?
So, Teostra. Oh, that's Kaiser. I skipped it because it's not actually named Teostra. Okay, so we got like Fancy Knight, which I'm pretty sure is the same armor that you got from Teostra, as well as Lunastra, who just gave you the blue version of the same thing. It's okay. I usually avoid the like knight-looking armors. They're kind of boring.
Picking your gear. Take all the time you
Teostra
need.
Blessing, Critical Eye, Critical Boost, Critical Eye, Master's Touch. Critical Eye is not bad. It boosts your affinity, which is your crit rate. So that could be pretty good for the longsword. I haven't really found a longsword-specific armor. Oh, there's also this, which is not new? I feel like we've already seen that when I fought Camelios, but I don't remember now. And then weapons.
Looking for something new or an
see.
upgrade?
Teostra Tree. Not bad. It's a blast longsword, which so far there hasn't really been a lot of options for that, except the Basel and the Magnamalo. And as you can see, Basel has a negative affinity, so I think Teostra is probably better in that regard. And all of these other tier weapons, these are rarity 7, require Valstrax's parts, so won't be getting any of those until we're moving into Sunbreak. Anyway, thank you for joining me once again for another Monster Hunter Boss Bytes, if you're one of the few people who still is hanging around for these, and, you know, maybe we'll get into some new stuff soon. It really depends on how long it will take me to grind out Valstrax. I don't think it'll be that long. I'll probably shoot up most of the way as soon as I finish off the next mission. But, can't say for sure. That's not bad on the dog. That is not great on the Palico, though. Why? Why would you give it a wig? It's horrific. Alright. See you folks next time. And, I hope you enjoyed.